People say, I am the best boss. They go, God, we've never worked in a place like this before. You're hilarious. And you get the best out of us. I think that pretty much sums it up. I found it at Spencer Gifts.
Reflect back on a job you genuinely loved, one you actually looked forward to going to, felt inspired to produce your best work at, and potentially stay with the company long term. Ask yourself, what was your boss, or perhaps bosses, like?
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Now think back on the job you absolutely hated, the one you dreaded going to, and perhaps didn't stay at for very long.
I don't like my job, and I don't think I'm gonna go anymore.
How was your relationship with that management? How are these two experiences different in terms of supervision?
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Who motivated you, and who simply micromanaged? What influenced you to stay?
You're so smart. You're so effing smart.
And what ultimately made you leave?
Everybody stay calm. What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Wait.
Everybody calm down!
It's not so much that people are leaving bad jobs, but rather that people are leaving bad bosses. Research conducted by Gallup indicated that 50% of workers chose to leave their companies based on their feelings towards their boss. A similar study they administered, consisting of 7,272 American adults, discovered that 1 in 2 participants had quit their jobs in order to avoid contact with their boss and improve their well-being one time or another in their professional career. Companies are losing employees left and right at the hands of a faulty line of middle management.
Do you have any idea how to run an office?
Yes.
Every day you do something stupider than you did the day before. And I think there's no possible way he can top that.
While the theory of human capital describes the relationship between the average working class and those on a corporate level, specifically corporations' investments in their employees, it often tiptoes around the middleman, the one in charge of creating a positive and productive work environment for its employees. Over 95% of all members in the workforce have bosses, are bosses, or both. At a social level, nearly all communities associate themselves with a leader, manager, or supervisor that oversees the efforts and actions of the group. Many social scientists and economics alike agree that while the role of a boss figure is universal, little research has been done in regards to bosses' effect on their employees, and furthermore, their relationship to human capital. This video intends to examine what the workplace comedy The Office tells us about human capital, education, and management in the workplace, as Michael Scott both reinforces primary findings in human capital, such as a need for education and an ability to invest in employees, while suggesting what is often underrepresented, such as the significance of relationships in the workplace and the idea that the presence of a middleman is on the decline.
No, don't like that.
Popular film both represents and influences how individuals view the world, the workplace, and themselves. Films that take place in a work setting hold great power in their ability to depict the nature of it, both reflecting and influencing principles established within it.
I have a lot to learn about this town, sweetie.
While The Office was a huge success on air, receiving over 40 Emmy nominations in its 9-season duration, the series blew up once arriving to Netflix in October 2013. The mockumentary succeeded beyond its ability to reach not just one particular audience, but rather all of them. In 2019, Wall Street Journal reported that The Office was the most watched show on Netflix during a 12-month period. Although it seemed unlikely for a paper company in the small town of Scranton, Pennsylvania to reach the hearts of so many, it became a fierce competitor in the world of workplace comedies. The Office tackled relatable obstacles in the workplace. It was intended to be boring and tedious. The miserable meetings.
To your clients, to whomever.
Oh, okay.
What?
It's whoever, not whomever.
No, it's whomever.
No, whomever is never actually right.
Well, sometimes it's right.
Michael is right. It's a made-up word used to trick students.
No, actually, whomever is the formal version of the word.
Obviously, it's a real word, but I don't know when to use it correctly.
Not a native speaker.
I know what's right, but I'm not gonna say, because you're all jerks who didn't come see my band last night.
Do you really know which one is correct?
I don't know.
Just as those is intended to be relatable and realistic. Discussing downsizing.
This is from Michael. Meredith, let's hope the only downsizing that happens to you is that someone downsizes your age.
Because of the downsizing, rumors, And because you're getting old. Can you tell us why you are shutting down Scranton and putting 15 people out of work?
Your branch is not closing. Stanford is closing. For the time being, it seems that all of your jobs are safe.
Workplace discrimination.
Let me ask you, is there a term besides Mexican that you prefer? Something less offensive?
Mexican isn't offensive.
Well, it has certain connotations.
Blacks do crack, not crack the drug.
When I got my haircut chart, you asked me if I was a lesbian.
Because, wow, that was one possible explanation as to why you got that haircut.
And when we get mad, you always ask us if we're on our periods.
I have to know whether you're serious or not.
And ultimately what it's like to get through a 9-to-5 desk job.
Michael had an entire chicken pot pie for lunch. And let me be more specific. Michael ate an entire family-sized chicken pot pie for lunch, and then he promptly fell asleep. So we're all trying to be very quiet so as to not wake him up before 5 p.m., which actually should be in about 10 minutes.
The Office did what all films intend to do, but not always succeed at doing. It imitated real life. It is through this imitation of the workplace that real problems within it were given attention, proving popular film is not meant solely for escapism, but for educational purposes as well. As for human capital, in order to best describe its relationship to education, film, and management, a proper definition must be proposed. Kimberly Amado defined human capital as the economic value of the abilities and qualities of labor that influence productivity. Essentially, human capital is the idea of a company investing in its workers so that in return they produce more. Gary Becker phrased it slightly better, defining it as activities that influence future monetary and physical income by increasing resources in people. These types of investment include education, skills, talent, and experience. Education is often argued to be the most important aspect of human capital, leading to increased economic output, a higher individual income, and increased economic mobility for families. Like Schultz, Becker historically focused on education's role in human capital, theorizing that investing in education not only benefited the individuals receiving it, but the companies they later would work for and the countries in which they made up. The show ultimately suggests that Michael lacks certain qualities as a manager because he didn't attend college.
I did not go to business school. You know who else didn't go to business school? LeBron James, Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant. They went right from high school to the NBA, So it's not the same thing at all.
His cultural ignorance displayed in nearly every episode reflects never having received a liberal arts education.
Do not drink and drive, because you may hit a bump and spill the drink.
You don't call retarded people retards. It's bad taste. You call your friends retards when they're acting retarded. Rich people love pizza, poor people love pizza, white people love pizza, black people love pizza. Do black people like pizza? You'll notice I didn't have anybody be an Arab. I thought that would be too explosive. No pun intended. Your gayness does not define you. Your Mexicanness is what defines you to me.
His illiteracy in the actual theory of business and technology represents his lack of textbook knowledge and modern experience.
How far has your Herfindahl index declined since the merger?
Nice try. How's your Pollock says what index?
What?
Thanks, Kowalski. Why don't you explain this to me like I am an 8-year-old?
All right, well, this is the overall budget for this fiscal year along the x-axis.
Yes.
Right there.
There's the x-axis.
You can see clearly on this page that we have a surplus of $4,300.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We have to spend that by the end of the day or it will be deducted from next year's budget.
Why don't you explain this to me like I'm 5?
Your mommy and daddy give you $10 to open up a lemonade stand. So you go out and you buy cups and you buy lemons and you buy sugar. And now you find out that it only costs you $9.
Ho! There are 4 kinds of business: tourism, food service, railroads, and sales, and hospitals/manufacturing, and air travel.
And his immature, childlike behavior and wrongful use of language implies never having learned the art of professionalism.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious. Tell him to call me ASAP as possible. Oh! no! Contraption! She's contrapting. Okay.
While the show's arguable punchline is that Michael Scott has the mind of a child, it's also a representation of human capital's fixation on education. While education is at the forefront of human capital and bosses are heavily linked to the theory of human capital, only 37.3% of bosses have a bachelor's degree. As for higher levels of education, it was found that a mere 5.6% of bosses have master's degrees. The office subtly suggests that this is a problem within the workplace and implies that inappropriate behavior and overall incompetence can be reversed through schooling. While of course it's important to note that when Andy, a character on the show known for obnoxiously bringing up the fact that he went to Cornell,
I went to Cornell. You ever heard of it?
gets Michael's job as executive regional branch manager following Michael's departure from the show, quite the opposite is said about education in the workplace. While Andy looked good on paper and was well versed, hence why he got the job, he was clearly mentally unstable, specifically struggling from anger management issues, and was often a walking ball of stress, making him arguably one of the worst bosses we've ever seen on the show. As a matter of fact, even as an employee, he was a liability, punching a hole in the office wall and often struggling to control his anger. This highlights another key aspect in human capital: worker well-being and mental health. Stress is at an all-time high for employees, with 83% of the American workforce suffering from some aspect of work-related stress. While stress is seemingly manageable, work-related stress causes 120,000 deaths and reflects $190 billion spent in healthcare yearly. The show suggests that in a world of corporate and cubicles, downsizing and branch closures,
we're going bankrupt, you think?
Stress and dissatisfaction with work was at an all-time high. The show took place during a time when research was starting to indicate that poor mental health and stressors in the workplace could be a possible contributor to physical illnesses such as diabetes, hypertension, and cardiovascular conditions amongst workers. This is exhibited when Stanley suffers from a heart attack following Dwight's fire stunt. Corporate acknowledged his kind of reckless behavior and asserted Michael with the responsibility of ensuring his workplace ran smoothly and stress-free.
Michael, you have to take responsibility here. One of your employees had a heart attack. He could have died because of the way you're allowing your office to run. Do you want that on your conscience?
Do you?
Michael?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
What?
A boss's demeanor greatly influences worker well-being. Would you consider your boss a friend? Or rather, does your boss's authority scare you? Or is it somewhere in the middle? Michael Scott, despite all of his flaws, truly cared about the well-being of his employees and truly went out of his way to make the office a more fun.
Go! Come on, you can do it.
Oh, thank you so much.
And relaxed place.
Everybody sit on the floor, Indian style like me. Oh my God, if you're wearing a dress, please keep your knees together. Nobody wants to see that.
Whether through the initiation of Casual Fridays.
I'm not sure of what happens, but I can tell you he loves the way he looks in those jeans. I know that's why he started Casual Fridays.
Or the antics he pulled during employee meetings.
What's the very, very worst thing about prison?
Don't encourage him, Dwight.
The worst thing about prison was the Dementors. They were flying all over the place and they were scary, and then they'd come down and they'd suck the soul out of your body and it'd hurt.
The show's over-exaggeration of Michael Scott's desire to be friends with his coworkers.
I want to be married and have 100 kids so I can have 100 friends and no one can say no to being my friend.
I'm just worried about my friend.
Reflects a controversial topic in the workplace, but offers a workplace something it has historically been denied: a good time. While many argue that education is investment,
You cannot learn from books.
that skills training is investment,
Don't worry, Kelly will be training you first.
Kelly's training us?
This day is bananas, B-A-N-A-N-A-S. This day is bananas, B-A-N-A.
there's no greater investment than time.
9,986,000 minutes. We actually sat down and did the math.
9,986,000 minutes. That's how many minutes that you've worked here.
First and foremost, time establishes relationships. Clients, customers, even patients appreciate familiarity. In fact, they come back to it. Additionally, time is experience. Constant rehiring means constant inexperience, requiring constant investment in the form of hiring costs and on-the-job training. A team of individuals who are familiar with their job can arguably do more in less time and require less education. Finally, time signifies growth. The majority of individuals are working towards something, whether that be a goal,
Get it!
a promotion,
So effective immediately, I am promoting you from assistant to the regional manager to assistant regional manager.
or recognition. Time allows them to get there. So if time is so important to human capital, how does a company encourage their workers to stay? They invest in those doing the investing. They invest time and resources into ensuring an adequate boss is holding down the fort. While the success of Michael Scott lies heavily in the fact that he is no ordinary boss, he tells us a lot about what we have too much of and what we don't have enough of in the workplace. This is through the exaggerated good qualities in Michael often coming off as odd, while the bad are normalized within the office. But what's so incredible is we get to see the growth of Michael Scott throughout the seasons.
In costumes,
And impressions.
In meetings.
in cups of coffee,
For birthdays, more meetings and
Email forwards you made us read.
He went from being completely hated by all of his employees,
Michael, you are the reason I drink.
What I hate about you, you really suck as a ball.
making them cry, hitting them with his car, discriminating against them,
My cookie. Try my cookie. Try my...
to leaving such an impression to where they were touched by his departure, some even being brought to tears.
And tomorrow, I can tell you what a great boss you turned out to be. Best boss I ever had.
This is what human capital often doesn't acknowledge in the workplace. Michael Scott is not just branch manager, but an employee of Dunder Mifflin. While he invests in his coworkers, he himself is invested in by corporate and furthermore influenced by his employees, as he often looks to learn from them. Michael's ability to grow throughout the series, both as a character and as a boss, suggests an alternative to education, to healthcare, and to job training, instead illustrating the role of relationships. Just like any good show, The Office is centered around relationships. This is its hook, which influences its audience investment in the show long term. While each Office stan may have their own favorite character likability is high when it comes to The Office, with every character bringing their own distinctive humor and relationship to the show. The most notable and prominent relationship in the show, although many will argue to be Jim and Pam, is the relationship between Michael Scott and his employees. The role of relationships in The Office exhibited two major aspects of human capital. First, the series suggested that for many Americans, coworkers make an otherwise unsatisfactory job more fun. In 2014, 52.3% of US adults said they were dissatisfied with their job, yet 60.6% of workers credited their colleagues with improving their work environment. Scott was quoted early on in the series saying that it's about keeping the troops happy, and his management style truly solidifies this claim. He is constantly attempting to make the workplace a more enjoyable space by encouraging workplace relationships, whether by sprucing up a typically boring staff meeting, throwing a wild holiday office party, or just all-around day-to-day unexpectedness of Michael Scott. He can always be found bringing the team together. In Season 3, The Office took a beach trip following the merge of the two branches, which served to be a great means for team building. In addition to this, Michael has always been big on office parties, even starting the party planning committee. Whether it be birthdays, holidays, or even the infamous Dundies, Michael Scott always found a way to celebrate his employees, bring them together, and give them something to look forward to. Secondly, The Office suggests an alternative to education, to healthcare, and to job training, illustrating the role of relationships in influencing character development. Michael arguably invested in himself. His investment in workplace relationships ended up being the reason he grew so much as a boss. After years and years of building relationships and creating memories with his employees, Michael Scott began to exhibit a change in behavior. In addition, meeting Holly, a character who is similar to Michael in goofiness, but in a much more tolerable and tasteful way, really shaped Michael's perceptions on things and how to treat people. Throughout the entire series, there was one character Michael didn't like, and when I say didn't like, I mean absolutely hated.
No, out, idiot. Hey, nobody cares. Nobody cares. If I had a gun with 2 bullets and I was in a room with Hitler, Bin Laden, and Toby, I would shoot Toby twice.
His behavior towards Toby was so different than his behavior towards any of the other employees. While it was perhaps a reflection of Toby's HR position, as Toby constantly had to talk to Michael about his actions, it represented another aspect of management: bullying. While from what I can recall, nobody ever really quit the Scranton branch, Toby left twice. subtle reflection of his dissatisfaction with his job as a result of Michael. Holly ended up being Toby's replacement, which works as a really interesting parallel, as Michael falls instantly for Holly and is able to listen to her in a way he never listened to Toby. At the end of Michael's time on the show, when Toby was back once again, Michael for the first time was able to be nice to him, which represented a milestone in Michael's years and years of torturing Toby. Although many like to describe the theory of human capital as everything inside of a worker's head, work habits, trainings received, social and personality attributes, energy level, and individual stock of basic intelligence, the theory itself often fails to acknowledge the extrinsic aspect of human capital. While these employees are ultimately products of investment, who exactly is doing the investing? Who is overseeing such investment? And who is then rewarding that resulting productivity? While some may say the firm or the corporations are funding such investment at a monetary level, the true power often falls in the hands of the closest form of management through the ability to foster relationships within the workplace. It is a refreshing change from the corporate bottom line. The show highlights the idea of middle management through the relationships Michael has with his employees and with corporations. While Michael often encounters corporate, there are hardly any scenes of corporate and the Dunder Mifflin employees even in the same room, unless being punished or interviewing for a job promotion. This reflects the corporation's ghost-like presence in the workplace, despite having such a stake in human capital. While the common notion is that companies view employees as moneymakers, investments, Michael Scott often challenges such notion, as witnessed in Michael's homemade video.
Life moves a little slower in Scranton, Pennsylvania, and that's the way we like it. Because at Dunder Mifflin Scranton, we're not just in the paper business, we're in the people business. Let's meet some of the folks who make the Scranton branch so special. This is Stanley Hudson, one of our talented salesmen, an African-American father of two. Stanley's dedication is no doubt one of the hallmarks of the foundation of the business we're hoping to build our basis on.
Michael Scott may not always win when it comes to execution, but it's proven time and time again that he genuinely cares about the well-being of his employees. In Season 3, Episode 13 of The Office, Pam, a longtime receptionist, informed her coworkers about an art show she was going to be a part of. Throughout the series, Pam has always been passionate about art. It was a skill she was constantly looking to develop. No one ended up showing up except for one colleague who dissected Pam's artwork, unaware she was within earshot.
Meaning, real art takes courage, okay, and honesty.
Well, those aren't Pam's strong points.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this is motel art.
It was truly a hard scene to watch. That is until Michael Scott showed up.
I'm Casso. Sorry I'm late. I had to race across town.
Oh, Michael.
Wow. You did these freehand?
Yep.
My God, these could be tracings. Oh. Look at this one. Wow. You nailed it. How much?
What do you mean?
I don't see a price.
You want to buy it?
Well, yeah. Yeah, we have to have it for the office. I mean, there's my window and there's my car. Is that your car?
Uh-huh.
That is our building. And we sell paper. I'm really proud of you. It is a message. It is an inspiration. It is a source of beauty. And without paper, it could not have happened. Unless you had a camera.
While Pam didn't necessarily become an artist, she did work her way up through management in the office, with the help of Michael Scott and from her own new sense of confidence.
Yep.
Through its observations of workplace relationships, the film better helps us understand human capital and the inner working relationships between the firm, the general manager, and the employees. The Office even suggests various times throughout the series that the ideal boss would be no middle management at all. Michael Scott is arguably an ideal boss because of this, as while he may attempt to distract his employees from time to time, he hardly micromanages them. He also suggests this through his characterization of being, well, rather useless at times, as it suggests that bosses can decrease productivity.
I don't want to work. I just want to bang on this muggle.
This ideal boss is later suggested when Andy Bernard is boss, when he suddenly quits and sets off for the Bahamas. Since no one told corporate, another suggestion of the lagging relationship between corporations and their employees, corporate didn't know they needed to hire a new boss. The show acknowledged the fact that the Office did incredibly well without the presence of a boss, exceeding its target in the past quarter. However, it must be acknowledged, The Office wasn't the same after Michael left, paradoxically suggesting the value of a boss in a workplace. Ultimately, the hit comedy The Office illustrates the deterioration of many things. The show itself depicts a declining sitcom. The company Dunder Mifflin represents the struggles of a paper company in a world of digitalization, and most significantly, Michael Scott as a boss reflects the perceived dwindling need for middle management in the workplace. The show perpetuates the anxieties that arise from working for a company that sells paper in an increasingly paperless society. In Season 3, Episode 17, Business School, Ryan, the office temp, invites Michael to talk at his business school solely for some extra credit, to which Michael happily agrees. Absent from the room when Ryan gives the class his introduction, Michael didn't initially hear Ryan's prediction that Dunder Mifflin will become obsolete in the next 5 to 10 years.
Employees calculation you'll be obsolete in the next 5 to 10 years.
Wait, Ryan said that?
In addition to this, approximately half of the branches at Dunder Mifflin closed throughout the series. While Michael Scott may not be the best boss ever, as he likes to think, he arguably offers what's missing when it comes to management in the workplace. While he exhibits many character flaws, he suggests what people also tend to lack as managers. Hardly anyone under management of Michael Scott quit, and on top of that, The Office was one of the leading branches in the company.
Well, this is gonna hurt like a mother.
While the show argues Michael could potentially benefit from more education or maybe even a sexual harassment course, it illustrates relationships' role in the hierarchical structure of the workplace. Relationships is what Dunder Mifflin is founded on. As a small paper company that is set apart by customer service, this is arguably how Michael Scott succeeds at his job, because he understands it's not just a paper company, it's a people company. Going forward, the same can be said about human capital. I'm sure we all have made friendships in the workplace, some that will last longer than our jobs ever will. The art to understanding human capital isn't by focusing so heavily on the investment of its most debated aspects, but rather acknowledging how a friend can influence your experience at a job, how they can motivate you, increase your well-being and job satisfaction, even increase your productivity. That is where the true essence of human capital lies, and it's through the incredible and hilarious masterpiece of a show, The Office, that we are able to visualize it.
Become a father. You guys gave that to me. And that's an amazing gift.
Hey, Jim, remember Flonkerton when you did Office Olympics? It was awesome.
Thanks, Phil.
I still have my medal from that.
Do you even have a mattress?
No, but I still have my medal from that.
Oscar, I think I'm gay.
Why do you say that?
It's just that I'm so emotional.
You're not gay. You're not gay.
No, but maybe the reason.
You're not gay.
All the faces that I know have that same familiar glow. I think I must have known them somewhere once before.
How did you do it? How did you capture what it was really like? How we felt, and how we made each other laugh, and how we got through the day. How did you do it? Also, how do cameras work?
Every day when I came into work, all I wanted to do was leave. So why in the world does it feel so hard to leave right now?
It all seems so very arbitrary. I applied for a job at this company because they were hiring. I took a desk at the back because it was empty, but no matter how you get there or where you end up, human beings have this miraculous gift to make that place home. do this.
I just feel lucky that I got a chance to share my crummy story with anyone out there who thinks they're the only one to take a dump in a paper shredder. You're not alone, sister. Let's get a beer sometime.
I'm happy that this was all filmed so I can remember everyone and what we did. I worked for a paper company all these years and I never wrote anything down.
I sold paper at this company for 12 years. My job was to speak to clients on the phone about quantities and types of copier paper. Even if I didn't love every minute of it, everything I have, I owe to this job. This stupid, wonderful, boring, amazing job.
I thought it was weird when you picked us to make a documentary. But all in all, I think an ordinary paper company like Dunder Mifflin was a great subject for a documentary. There's a lot of beauty in ordinary things. Isn't that kind of the point?